Hey, thanks for making it to Veterans Info Tap. I'm glad you made it today. Feeling a little bit under the weather, so I might sound, at least I sound funny in my own head, but whatever, we'll move on. So, what I wanted to talk about today was a piece of legislation that is being reintroduced, or it already has. It's already been reintroduced, and many of you may already know, but I wanted to touch base on it a little bit because it could potentially put thousands of dollars back into the pockets of our veterans, so our brothers and sisters, right? So, what we're looking at here is the Major Richard Starr Act. And I pulled up a couple different things here so I can read through it to make sure that everybody understands what's going on. But if you know anything about this specific act, you know that it was introduced a couple years ago and everybody kind of thought it was going to make it, but then it didn't. So it has been reintroduced by two representatives from Congress, Gus Bilirakis and Paul Ramirez. So one is a Republican from Florida, the other is a Democrat from California. And at least it's bipartisan, right? And we're moving forward with this again. What this bill addresses is the inequity for our retired brothers and sisters. When you retire from the military, if you are less than 50% rating with the VA for disabilities, you cannot collect both your retirement and your VA disability. So you need to hit that 50% threshold in order to make that happen. This bill addresses that because as the lawmakers see it and as all of us see it, look, disability is different than retirement, and why should you be penalized because you decided to push out, and make it your 20, 25, 35, 40 years or whatever you did. So with that, let's jump into this real quick so we can get into a little bit of what's going on with it. And I will tell you this, even if you're not a retiree, this type of stuff is important because it helps to lay the groundwork of taking care of veterans. Right? It continues that momentum of doing the right thing for the veteran community. So don't think that just because you didn't retire that this isn't an important piece of legislation for you. Maybe not specifically to you, but it keeps the skids greased, right? For other things that we need as a veteran community in a whole. So let's get into it. The headline here is, and this is on Bilirakis's website, I think. Yeah, it is. It's on his website, kind of buried in there a little bit. But it says that they reintroduced the Major Richard Starr Act with overwhelming bipartisan support in House and Senate. So it says Bipartisan Bill would allow over 50,000 combat injured veterans to receive full disability compensation and retire pay. It says Representatives Gus Bilirakis and Paul Ruiz have reintroduced the Major Richard Starr Act. This critical legislation will rectify the injustice that keeps combat disabled veterans from receiving full military benefits. Currently, over 50,000 medically retired veterans and 50,000 medically retired veterans are forbidden from receiving their full retirement pay and disability compensation. So I'm going to stop right there. This is apparently targeting medically retired veterans, not just retired veterans. So it's got a target. So, how do you take down a redwood, right? It's many chops. So, if this is only focused on medically retired and not regular retired, then this is a step in the right direction, right? So let's continue on here. The Major Richard Starr Act would repeal this unfair offset, allowing these disabled veterans to receive both their retirement pay and their disability compensation. The bill is named in honor of Major Richard A. Starr, a father, husband, and decorated war veteran who, as a result of his combat-related injuries, was medically retired. Major Starr sadly lost his battle with cancer on February 13th, 2021. Last Congress, Bilirakis and Ruiz secured 335 co-sponsors for this important legislation. Today, when the bill was reintroduced, and this was, March 1st, so is when this thing was written. So Today, when this bill was introduced, it already had support of over 200 original co-sponsors. The Senate companion to the House bill has once again been filed by Senators Tester and Crapo and Moran. I'm not sure. And it has garnered already 48 bipartisan co-sponsors, as it should. So now here's a quote, and it's almost done. So, the brave men and women who return from serving our country should be able to receive the benefits promised to them. Military retirement and service-connected disability compensation are two completely different benefits. Agreed. One does not diminish the merits of the other, said Bilirakis. I am committed to rectifying this injustice for all veterans, and passage of this Major Richard Starr Act will get us one step closer to our goal of ensuring that veterans receive the benefits they have earned and deserve. So we'll stop there. Remember that if this is focused only on medically retired, then this opens the doorway to all retired. While Congressman Bilirakis has filed legislation each year, he has been in office to rectify this injustice of congruent receipt of for retirees with 20 years or more. Oh, so that's the other one, right? He has simultaneously been pushing the Major Richard Starr Act. So he is championing both for all retirees and for medically retirees, right? So two different retiree components that are both shafted when it comes to VA disability benefits. So he's a big champion for both. So that's great. He says here that I'd like to thank the veteran service organizations that have been tenacious in their outreach to members of Congress through our country to request co-sponsorship. Because of their unwavering support, we are able to move this bill one step closer to becoming a law. Again, like I've said before, with any type of legislation, look, pick up the phone, call your congressional office. You'll speak to an aide. That's just like calling anywhere. So-and-so's office. Okay, hey, I'm veteran so-and-so. I support this. Please make sure that Congressperson so-and-so supports this as well. I am one voice of many, and many don't make the phone call, but I'm speaking for everybody here. Type of an attitude is what we need to have. So, after serving and sacrificing for our nation, too many veterans face unnecessary roadblocks in receiving the benefits they need, have earned, and deserve, said Ruiz. The Major Richard Starr Act would repeal this unjust law and that stands in the way of veterans receiving the military retirement pay and service-connected disability compensation that they have rightfully earned. Agreed. It is with much gratitude that I thank Representative Bilirakis and Ruiz for introducing the Major Richard Starr Act and their continued commitment to helping American soldiers, veterans, and their families. Well, they missed. That's all right. They missed a few things. I'll read it again. You'll know. And for their continued commitment to helping our American soldiers, veterans, and their families, said Tony D. Starr, spouse of Major Richard Starr. Before Major Richard Starr lost his long-fought battle with cancer just a few days ago, after 29 years of service, he made me promise him to continue to work with members of Congress to get this bill passed and help the 42,000 families that would desperately benefit from it. It is my honor to carry on this effort in his memory. The Major Richard Starr Act is endorsed by all leading veteran service organizations throughout the country. Of course it is, and it should be. And we should voice, too, individually as, members of the constituency for each congressional area. Now, in addition, on the Senate side, I'm not going to read this whole thing, but basically, Senator John Tester, chairman of the Veterans Senate Committee, held a press conference basically championing this same bill. So that's all good news as well. And remember that, with this in effect, it's we'll skip over the 10 and 20 percenters. But once you get to that 30%, then you're adding your spouse, any children. So now all of a sudden with a child and a spouse, you're looking at an additional $612. Now, look, for those that, I I get it. I know that there's an offset, so then you don't pay taxes on a certain portion, and so it's not dollar for dollar, right? But it's pretty close because you're not saving that much money on not taxing $600, right? Let's just be honest. So I'm just going to use the real numbers just for giggles here. So with one child, one spouse, $612 that you would be getting back into your pocket. At 40%, you're looking at $870 back in your pocket. At 50%, that's when it would have happened anyway for you. So, in this case, for the Richard Starr Act, if you're medically retired and receiving less than a 50% rating from the VA, then you're out. That $870 if you're 40%, you're out $612 if you're at 30%. It's not until you hit that 50% at $1,215 where you're able to collect both your retirement pay and your VA disability concurrently. So this bill, if it came to law, would basically dismantle all of that, and whatever your VA rating is what you would get. Now, on the kind of the further backside of all this, look, if you're medically retired from the military, you should probably be higher than a 50%. And if you're less than that, you need to explore what other options you have for service connection, whether it be increases, secondary conditions, or what have you. So you should get with an accredited rep and really kind of look through your file, all of that good stuff. So with that, I'll go ahead and end it there. Thank you so much. I appreciate each and every one of you. And remember, if we don't take care of each other, something went wrong.